Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Joshana here to talk about a friggin' book that I read semi-recently, and I haven't even talked about in a wrap-up as of right now when I'm filming this, but I did quite enjoy it, so I wanted to do a little individual book chat, review, what have you. This book was published, actually, I believe on July 29th of this year, so just a couple of weeks ago. And I read a NetGalley e-arc of it back in July, I think. Yes, in July. And the book, per the title of the video, you already know, is Birth of a Dynasty by Chinaza Bado. And this, I believe, is adult fantasy. As far as I can tell, it is being categorized as an adult book. And I think it does have the tone of like an adult epic fantasy, for sure. However, just a little note that the two main characters in this first book, at least, I believe it's going to be a trilogy. The two main characters are children. They are like 8 years old and then like 11 or 12 years old. There's like one little time jump that happens. And so we are following children, but I'm pretty sure it is actually adult. And I assume in the second book, there's going to be an even like a larger time jump of several more years. The actual summary, though, to get into that, the start of a thrilling epic fantasy trilogy centered around three families fight for power in Akebulin, a land where magic is feared, giants are real, and prophecy holds sway. We have a character, and I may butcher this name, Makuru Mukundi, 8 years old, and he witnesses the massacre of his entire family and house and is the sole surviving member of the high noble house Mukundi of Madada. He vows revenge and flees, ending up in a small village where he is taken in by a mysterious old man and told to live under the guise of this farm boy named Khalil. So then he changes to Khalil, and that's what his POV chapters are. In another part of the country, young Zikora Namani, the only daughter of Lord Namani, knows nothing of political intrigue. She wants little more than to be a fierce Selinga warrior. But a well-known prophecy places too much potential power on her small shoulders. And as far as Prince Ephium and the king know, she is the only living threat to their dynasty ruling forever. Mikuru and Zikora must do what they can, no matter how terrible, to save their people and claim vengeance for their families. But they are just two young people against an entire kingdom and a prophecy destined to thwart their dreams. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that, yeah, right at the very beginning of the book. So this prophecy is basically, there's a prophecy from long ago that most people don't even really believe or think is real, but it would threaten the dynasty that this king has set. And so he takes it seriously. His family takes it seriously. But basically where these two specific houses, Mukundi and Namani, I'm pretty sure it's, now don't quote me on that. It might just be any, but I think it's those two specific houses. There's a prophecy that if those houses join together, like in marriage or having a child, like members of these separate houses, that it will destroy this dynasty this king has set, or his family has set. So they end up making it so that none of these noble houses can like intermarry because they're so worried about this prophecy. And in the very beginning of the book, there are two characters who we briefly see one is from each of these houses, and they're not allowed to be together. That's all I'll say. That is why now Makuru needs to be hiding, because he's the last heir of that house. So he would definitely be offed if they find him, and they are looking for him, for sure. And the little girl, Zikora, she's the last living female member of her. She has her mother, but like she has only brothers. So they're very like, oh, we can't have this little girl and this little boy, like, no. Definitely themes here, obviously, of vengeance, importance of family, and a lot of like ancestral knowledge I saw. Protecting the vulnerable and class awareness. There's a lot of conversation about class and what that means. And a random little note, I did not realize this author, this is a pen name for an author who has written a bunch of like romance, and I think a lot of like historical romance with Black characters. And I've never read any of this author's other works. But yeah, so I believe it is her first like fantasy debut. It's like a debut fantasy novel, but it's definitely not her debut, and I think it shows. The TLDR here, the gist of it is that I had a really fun time with this. I don't know, like, I feel like lately, a lot of fantasy that I've been reading, it just hasn't been hitting in the, like, super fun, exciting type of fantasy. I just haven't been finding that much of it. I have been reading a little less fantasy as well in general. But this just, it hit. It like, scratched that itch for me, absolutely. Pure fantasy, fun times, some epic things going on, some terrible things going on, like real awful things happening. And I am absolutely hooked with this series. I really hope book 2 will live up to my hype I have. And yeah, like I said, I've only seen it categorized as adult, but we are following children. But it definitely it's not reading like a middle grade. And to me, it's not even reading necessarily like a young adult. The tone of it does feel like adult. The writing, like I said, I think it was solid. It was serviceable, it was fine. There's not like an authorial voice here that spoke to me in any particular way, but I thought it was really solidly written throughout. And the characters, Zecora, the little girl, gives me Arya Stark vibes, and I am so here for it. I love her. I just love a rambunctious little girl who just kind of runs amok. And it's just like, I'm gonna do what I want. And like, I'm gonna go play with swords and do this and that and the other thing. And I cannot wait to see how she is when she's older. Cannot wait. And Mukundi / Khalil is such an interesting character to me. And I assume and I hope that the second book will time jump us into like their teen years, maybe their later teen years, so we can see how he has changed or has not changed. The themes of vengeance and revenge are really strong with him in particular. I mean, his whole family was slaughtered, and he witnessed some of it as well, so he has seen some horrible things, and he is out for blood. But he's a little kid, and he's just like, I can't do anything right now, you know? He has no power. He doesn't have that much, you know, physical strength. He doesn't have a fucking army behind him or anything. So he's just kind of sitting there like, oh, I just want to do something. And where these characters go and, like, where their stories takes them and how they, like, end up meeting it's the political intrigue is very fascinating. And yeah, like with him, it's gonna be a lot of like, how far is he willing to go for this vengeance? And I don't know, and I'm intrigued. He's a very conflicted character. The plot and the pacing was pretty quick for me. If you're someone who likes to really sit in a scene and sit with your characters a lot, you might not love the pacing. It might be a little too quick for you. But I had a really fun time. I just had a straight up good ass time with this. Not that it was a perfect book or anything, but the drama, the social drama, the tension in the story, the epicness of the larger plot, the lore and the cultural elements, and just world building in general. And again, the social politics and the scheming, it was just delicious. I'm realizing I really love a good plot that focuses a lot on social politics surrounding class and cultural hierarchies. In this story, everything going on with the queen and the princesses in the palace, oh my god, I loved it. Like, where there's like rules based on the hierarchy, and we're going to like sabotage someone by manipulating these rules to our liking. I can't really say because I don't want to spoil things, but punishing people for these, like, social rules and everything because, like, you're not allowed to even look at this person because they're above you and you glanced at them and now you need to be, like, whipped in the streets or whatever. Just, that's not exactly what happens or anything, but just stuff like that. I don't know, I find it so fascinating. Like, these women manipulating things around to get their way with things. It was, again, delicious. And some memorable quotes and or like standout scenes. I mean, the opening whole section was intense. We start right in the action of this massacre happening. And yeah, it was violent and very intense. A little quote: Khalil, this world does not care if you are innocent, just, or kind. It cares if you survive. And then Zikora's mom was a Selinga warrior. They're these female warriors. And there's a quote from her: do they think 10 soldiers are enough to keep a mother from protecting her daughter? From me, they will learn what it means to face a Selinga. And I was like, oh, love you, bitch. Love you, bitch. And then this was from Khalil saying, if revenge is poison, I'm going to drink a river of it, old man. He is hellbent on his revenge. And then just Nanny Arena. That is all I will say. That is a side character that I really liked. So yeah, this one I think is definitely a favorite of the year for me. I don't know that it's a 5-star favorite of all time necessarily, because like I said, it's not like I think it was like a perfect book or anything, but it was really, really enjoyable. A very enjoyable, fun fantasy time for me personally. I'm very intrigued with this world and these characters, and I'm like, I cannot wait for book 2 to see. I'm just like crossing my fingers that I'll like it even more, like as the characters age up and as we get more of the political stuff. Because this one was obviously a little bit of like setup and getting people moved to the places they need to be. And I think that where we're going with this is going to be a fun ride. And I'm here for it. So yeah, a really cool African-inspired fantasy world. The author's pen name here is actually her, I think Igbo. Her parents, at least one of her parents, are Igbo and are from the Igbo tribe. I'm not sure the correct terminology for the peoples, but that is her like Igbo name. I'm fairly certain. And yeah, so there's just a lot of, cultural references to African cultures and things like that in this fantasy world, and it's always a fun time for me. So yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend if you are a fantasy fan. And like I said, if you can get behind like a kind of quicker adventure, epic, fun, exciting, like, and you know, not necessarily sitting slowly with the characters all the time, that can be good too. But if you can get down with a little bit quicker paced one, I would check it out. And that is all for now. Let me know if you have any thoughts of reading this, if it's already on your TBR or not. If you have read it, what your thoughts are. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.